Welcome to Abstract Curiosity Podcast, your go-to spot for those eager to explore the world with a curious eye. I'm Rebeka, a 1-3 mental projector.
I'm Michelle, a 4-1 emotional generator. Come join us because life is an adventure and sometimes we just need a funky new roadmap to navigate our way through this wild world. Welcome.
Friends, welcome to our newest episode of Abstract Curiosity. Real quick, I just want to explain again the name Abstract Curiosity because Michelle and I love this because we get so curious about all the abstract things. We do talk a lot about astrology and human design, specifically Chiron, life transitions, but there's just so many things, so many fun things in this world. And today we get to talk to an amazing guest who has a little bit of a different topic than what we usually talk about. So I'm really excited. Michelle.
Yes. I had the beautiful honor. I have been kind of observing Britney a little bit, and then we actually got together yesterday and had a session together. And Britney is a gorgeous, beautiful, intuitive development like coach type of thing. And she also does channeling. And it is where my heart has really been developing a lot. And so I was so excited to get together with her yesterday. So, Brittany, tell us all about you and tell us a little bit of your astrology and your human design a little bit.
All right. Hi, everybody. And thank you so much, Michelle and Rebeka, for having me. I really appreciate being here. So I am a Pisces sun. I am a Leo moon and a Gemini rising. I'm a 1-3 Manny Gen. And just a little bit about my business is this one I've built from the heart. This one is just about really empowering people and anyone who comes from someone who feels ever disempowered. This is about learning how to take that inner power back and really become and build that inner authority within yourself by connecting to more of your spiritual aspect and bringing in your guides and learning how to tap into them and using them in your daily life to really help you guide, because really what you're doing is you're guiding yourself. And yes, we need help and we need to rely on others for support sometimes in our human world, but sometimes it's nice to tap back into that other side too. So it's really about promoting the balance of how to live and be human, but also how to be a beautiful spiritual being, and combining the two and really learning how to guide yourself through your soul and through your passions to really get where you want to go in life and, just live a meaningful, passionate, happy life.
Okay, I'm kind of blown away. That was really lovely.
That was amazing. Podcast done. No.
Yeah, we're complete.
That was really beautiful. What an
Oh,
amazing vision you have for this. And what a responsibility and an honor, I imagine, when you're working with clients.
Absolutely. It's a huge honor. Like, I think the gratitude and the gratefulness that I feel every time I work with anyone, no matter what, whether it's channeling for them or whether it's teaching them how to do these things for themselves, it is such a blessing for me because it's amazing to see just even how the small shifts can change so much for them. And I know how much it has changed my life. And so it's beautiful to see that.
So your connection with guides, angels, and I'm assuming it's pretty much anything that is of highest consciousness or whatever. So was this something that was just innate in you, or was this something that you discovered? Like, how did that all unfold for you?
So this actually, it all kind of came to me. I didn't really seek it out. It just showed up at my doorstep. It was I was at a really bad place a few years ago. Well, actually about 10 years ago now. And I was just looking for alternate healing methods. And so I jumped into energy healing and intuition development for myself. And I was really just looking to heal and work with myself. And then as it progressed, I started getting different beings coming to me and really activating me on this journey. Like, I would get a lot of communication from guides. I've had some physical experiences where they actually just showed up and were like, hi. And so I think the most memorable one, what started it all, was I actually don't really know exactly where they came from, but all I know is there's this beautiful blue being, and I was just sleeping and I woke up and it was just standing there and it was just looking at me. And I never felt threatened or anything. I just felt like peace and love. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something about this. And then it kind of just unfolded from there. So
Yeah.
it's been, yeah, guides of all types, galactic, guardian angels. It's been, I did a lot with the angelic realm. They helped me heal a lot, especially
Mhm.
around my heart space. And they showed me how to love myself. And that was the
Wow.
biggest blessing. And then, yeah, so it's just kind of evolved, and different beings would come in at different times depending on what was necessary. And they actually are the ones that kind of taught me how to channel. Um,
Okay.
I did learn some techniques from a few other people who do channeling, but they kind of taught me how to connect for myself, and they've helped me develop all of the processes that I use to help others connect as well.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So in truth, you kind of are like because a lot of times you hear people who are channels like, oh, I've done it all my life. It was natural, blah, blah, blah. I
Mm,
love hearing about those who may not have known
mhm,
because I mean, my belief system, and I think your belief system is the same and Rebecca's, is that we all can connect up. But we've
mhm.
all been taught that for a lot of us because of religion, that's a no-no. You're dealing with whatever the entities that you're not supposed to be. But I love that you're the story of like, no, like, so did you have any experiences when you were a kid and just brushed it off like no big deal? Or was this truly like, nope, 10 years ago I was going through a crisis and this is what developed?
Actually, the more that I think about it, I was like, I think I was pretty in tune as a child, but I shut it all off because
Mm.
it was something that made me a little bit of an outcast. I had some unfortunate experiences where people would try to take advantage of those gifts. So I turned them off
Mm,
and I shut them out because I was like, this isn't safe for me. And so I think once I got into a place again, but when I didn't think that I was intuitive when I first started doing my intuition development, I didn't think that I was capable of doing any of this at first. And because I had just forgotten all of it. And so now it's come back and it's been just a blessing, really. But yeah, if we're being honest, I did not really have a full understanding. This came to me much later in life, and it was just like, hey, we're here now. I mean, we've kind of always been here, but like now you need to pay attention.
got
So,
it. Okay.
yeah.
So, can I ask, I'm just so curious about
Mhm.
the blue dude and like some of your other experiences.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about him.
So, like, what okay, that specific instance that you talked about, like you woke up, there's a blue dude there. Sorry, I just got an image of the 3 blue guys from Las Vegas, like, it's just funny.
Oh, the Blue Man Group. Yeah.
The Blue
Yes.
Man Group.
That's actually slightly
Yes.
accurate. This is much taller.
Yes. Was it an
So
Arcturian? Arcturian, is that what it was?
I
yeah, that's what
Uh,
I
believe
was
so.
wondering. Then,
Hmm.
like, did you talk? Did y'all have a conversation, or was he just like, "What's up? I'm
No,
here now."
it was actually a little unnerving at first because I was laying there, but because the frequency is so high, I was just like, my body was like shaking and it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
oh, okay.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, but then I just was like, no, it's okay. And I just somehow calmed myself down and there were no words exchanged. It was just like, hey, you need to know that we're here. Like, you need to know that I'm here with you. And before that experience, I'd had a past life regression, and the individual who was performing the past life regression on me shared, they said, you have really big, powerful guides. And I actually didn't really believe them. And then it was maybe a year later that this happened. And I was just like, oh, I did not understand, but I get it now. So
Wow.
yeah, it was amazing. But I definitely do believe it was Arcturian. I'm very connected to Arcturian and the Pleiades, like the Pleiadians. They help me significantly because they actually balance. The Palladians work with the upper chakras, heart, and then up, and the Arcturians work with the lower chakras. So they help heal and ground, and that's just kind of their specialty. So for whatever reason, it's just they've really come in at different times to help balance. But that was the beginning, was the Arcturians showed up, and it was beautiful. And I was not,
Oh,
my body was uncomfortable, but I was not scared at all.
Mm,
It was actually quite beautiful.
that's
wow.
awesome. Was it like when you were falling asleep or when you were waking up or in between?
It was in between. So I would say it was, I mean, I was very conscious of it, so it felt like I was awake, but it was probably more of a lucid dream, if I'm being honest. But at that
Mm,
time, I didn't really know what a lucid dream was because I was still very brand new. But yeah, it was very real. And
Yeah.
yeah, so.
wow.
Now, a lucid dream, do you want to tell people a little bit about that? Because some people may not understand what that means.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the lucid dream is basically just a state of consciousness where your body is not quite asleep. Like your body is asleep, but your mind and your consciousness are actually interacting with your body still. So you have, it's like the in between state. And it's basically where you can consciously go to connect. And some people are really, really talented at lucid dreaming. I've never actually done it intentionally before. It just usually happened.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was very, yeah. So lucid dreaming, I'm not necessarily an expert on it, but I do think it's a very interesting place because you can experience a lot of different things there. You can experience a lot of different connections in more of a physical way where you actually maybe have more of an experience than just with channeling, where it's a little more just, verbal or writing. And so
Right.
it's a little bit more of a physical like interaction with them.
Yeah. I think that the only time I've been cognizant of lucid dreaming was, and again, I'm like you, I've read about it, but I've never really
Mm.
set an intention. But one time I was dreaming, and the thing that got me was how real it felt, like beyond, and it's hard to describe unless you've had one, right? Because it was like mine was not seeing a blue being. Mine was just it was a dirt pathway with like pebbles on it.
Oh,
And I bent down to pick up the pebble, and it was so real in that instant while I was in the lucid dream. I became aware that this is beyond my regular dreams. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Is that how you would describe it? That it felt so. Have you had one, Rebecca?
Well, I'm starting to wonder, it wasn't like, I don't know if it was like super spiritual, but it's interesting because I'll have these dreams and I'll wake up and I feel like I've left another life. And it
mhm.
might even be something simple like I was trying to decide which Target to go to, and but then I was imagining routes that don't exist here. Um, and that sounds really simple, but it really felt like another life. And then there'd be times I'll wake up here and I'm like, why am I on Earth again? Like this place is exhausting. Can I go back to where I just
Ah,
was?
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So did you experience it that way too then, Brittany? Like it just feels different?
Yeah, so I would say depending on the interaction I was having, it would feel that like super real,
Yeah.
where you feel like almost like a longing for where you were because it felt like so much like home, if that makes sense. That's
Mhm.
one way I experienced it. But I did have like physical body sensations as well, but that could just be my experience with it. I know some people say that probably be like an out of body experience where you're still kind of like half connected to your
Mm,
body and,
yeah.
you know, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of what you guys described, I would say is definitely, I think it's a little bit different for everyone. I don't think everyone has this exact same experience. So it's really more about what you take away from those experiences, right? And how
Yeah.
important and whatever that felt and whatever that meant to you, right? Because those are the ones that are really memorable because they
Mhm.
feel so real, right? And even if it is something simple like going to Target, it's the important thing is that you felt that connection to that other life or timeline or because it's you could even say similarly to like deja vu even. where it's like
Mm,
you're,
Yeah.
like lucid dreaming. I mean, you're awake for deja vu usually, but it's a very similar concept. It's just a shift in your consciousness, really.
yeah.
And whether you're sleeping or awake, you're always able to shift in and out of consciousnesses.
There's always that philosophical. I remember when I took philosophy in college way back when, my mind
Yeah.
was blown because it was before the internet. And so when they were talking some of these concepts, I was like, okay, this is way out there. But one of the concepts they were saying was, how do we know that this is the real reality? There's some people who believe when we go to sleep that that's the true reality. Because how many times do we wake up from just a plain regular dream? But when you go to explain the dream to somebody and you're like, oh, yeah, my mom turned into a snake. But in the
Yeah.
dream, that felt, well, of course my mother would, would morph into a snake, right? And then
Yes.
when you come back into this dimension, you're like, and then my mom turned into a snake. And people are like, what? How does that even make sense? So I love it when we can talk to people who kind of get it that there's so much more out there than what we see in our
Oh,
physical world, and that
yeah.
how the potency of just dreaming, right?
Mhm.
Like, and the different types of dreams that we can have. But let's get on to like more of the channeling and the intuitive development. Unless you've got more questions, Rebecca, because we
I
could
was
go
just
many
really
places.
I know. Yeah, I was just really curious about the physical experiences and especially the the one dude.
Mm.
I was just curious. So thank you.
Do you
Yeah,
connect with
that's
him a
good.
lot? Do you connect with him a lot? The
Um,
blue being?
Actually, no.
Mm,
I think if I do, it's never been like that same kind of full physical experience again. It's just like, hey, like I know that they're there. Like he's,
Mm.
like standing there with me. And that's the only way. It's just that knowing that I'm like, oh, yep, you're there. Got you. But
okay.
it's never been the exact same experience ever again. I think that was just it's your time. We're here. Wake up.
Okay. Yeah,
Cool.
kind of like enough startling that it would grab your attention.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well that's interesting. So that's how I felt about my experience. It jarred me
Oh.
enough. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you said that because here's the thing. I think for a lot of people who meditate or gravitate with connecting up with light beings along with angels and everything else, it's all great, right? But I think sometimes I love how you just said, yeah, I connected with him, but it doesn't necessarily mean like he's my guide or he might be all around, but I'm not talking to him a lot of times because I think some of us, probably me, want to compartmentalize everything. And I love how you're like, oh no, it's probably your Pisces in you, like, oh no, he's around. I'm sure I could ask him to come in, but that's okay. It was kind of like my awakening moment. Oh, Brittany, that's so refreshing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Yeah.
I love
Just
that so much. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what it feels like for you when you're channeling. What
okay.
does that feel like?
So there are two different experiences that I'll describe because it's different when I am channeling energy for holding space for other people to channel. And it's different when I'm channeling for myself or for other people. It's a very different experience, which is
Mhm.
interesting. And I didn't discover this until recently when I started doing more of both. So when I'm channeling for myself or for somebody else, I feel all of it in my body. And it is very much, I'm still conscious because I know a lot of people do like trance channeling. That's very common, especially up until now. But I prefer conscious channeling because I believe personally that the more you anchor that energy in your body and being aware of it, it changes your own consciousness too. I mean, it does, even trance channeling does change the channel's consciousness as well.
Sure.
Um, but that just feels right for me. That's how I've always done it. So um what it feels like is depending on the types of beings that I'm connecting to.
Hmm.
Like for example, when I'm connecting into the angelic realm or into even like my specific soul family, it feels like immense love. And almost, so I'm a very clairsentient. So that is one thing. It's going to maybe be experienced differently by people who have different intuitive abilities that maybe are stronger in clairvoyance or, clairaudience, but typically it feels like an expansive experience. Like I'm going to explode with love. Like I know that sounds silly, but
Mhm.
Oh, that
No,
sounds
it doesn't.
amazing.
that's the feeling that I get. That's how I know that I'm tapped into. That's my confirmation that I'm tapped into to heart energy and heart consciousness, because that's where I spend a lot of my time. I'm always connecting from a place of love. And that's how I verify for myself if I'm connected into what is best for me and the person I'm channeling for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then, of course, I get, just the information comes in and then I kind of have to translate it because I just feel the energy and then I have to find the right words to describe the feelings that I'm feeling. I do get like some clairvoyant visions sometimes, but it's, they're not it's not my strongest.
Sure.
And it does I definitely feel the experience much more. And I kind of use all the senses. They kind of all bounce off of each other, which is
Yeah.
really fun. And it makes it much more engaging and playful, that's what I love about it. And then the other part of that experience is when I'm actually holding that space and channeling energy for other people is I am completely in the dark. That one is where I feel like it's more of a trance channeling where I'm just sitting there and they're just telling me in my head, they're just like, okay, you need to do this, slow down. You need to push energy towards them, give them more heart space. Like I'm maintaining their energy, but they're telling me how to help them maintain their energy so they can experience them in their fullest effect. And so
Wow.
but I don't know what they're talking about with them. I have no idea. They leave me out of it. So I'm not part of that experience at all.
So are you doing that like one-on-one, like in a Zoom, like they're saying I want to channel and you're holding the space. And so when they are connecting up, can you hear them when they're talking, or are they literally just being quiet within themselves connecting up with the channeling? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So a lot of times I encourage them to speak and to share what they're experiencing because I can see on Zoom, right? I can
Mhm.
see what they're experiencing based on their facial expressions. But I really want to make sure that I'm engaged in their process and I want them to share with me their experiences. So that way I can understand what they're going through because I can see their emotions and I can feel them.
Okay.
Like, okay, what are you experiencing? Do you mind sharing? If they choose not to share, I would never force someone to share. But
Sure.
if they feel the need to share or keep me in the loop of what they're going through emotionally, because
Mhm.
then on my end, I can help them through and put things into different perspectives and I can shift and help them shift the way that they're looking at something. Or if there's any kind of emotions like fear comes up, I can help ease the fear and, work with them. So it does help if they do share what they're
Yeah.
going through, if that
And
makes sense.
it does. And so simultaneously as they're sharing, you're getting input from them to help guide
Yeah.
them to go, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
is
Because a lot of times,
fantastic.
yeah, they'll tell me like, "Oh, you're going way too fast." Like, especially if I'm grounding them, they're like, "No, you need to slow down." Or they're like, "She needs a minute. Don't say anything." And so, whatever the situation is, I just sometimes people cry, sometimes they have, sometimes they laugh, they have different experiences, depending on their specific guides, but they have I'm just there to hold that space, facilitate, and just kind of let them have their own beautiful experience.
That's
That's really
amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I just gotta tell you real quick while you were talking, when you first started talking about the angels and like the light of love, my foster cat was like sleeping over there. But when you started talking about the angels, she came right over here, was like staring at me.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
so sweet. I
I
love
love
it.
that.
Animals are amazing.
Right? They so are. All right. This is awesome. Well, we kind of have a special treat for everybody because Brittany is going to I'm going to let you describe it, but she's going to kind of take us through a process of how to connect up. Are we not? Is that what you would call it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Before we get started, any more questions from you, Rebecca, that are popping in your head?
Actually, I had a question while you were talking. It
Mhm.
reminded me of a couple experiences I had, like when I would work with a spiritual teacher, and I would get really angry. And I find this really fascinating. Like I did a past life regression one time and I left. I was just so angry. And I had a good experience.
Mhm.
Anyway, I was just curious if there was anything coming through for you on that because I find it really interesting.
Mm,
That is interesting. So I think that's actually really great. And I love that because I'm a huge proponent of paying attention to your emotions because your emotions are a great way to guide you through um, how you're experiencing something, whether you're experiencing it from somebody else or on your own. Um, but the anger usually represents a state where you felt disempowered at some point. Maybe not necessarily by the spiritual teacher, but in the experience that you had within there, there was some kind of like, oh, something is off within you. So there's some kind of there's a rubbing, right? Of like,
Mhm.
this is what my heart believes, this is what my brain is telling me. And there's that discourse that happens. I mean, not discourse, but it's that I don't know how to explain it, but so the anger is actually pretty normal, especially if you have such a beautiful experience. Sometimes coming back into the real world can also
Mhm.
make us feel frustrated because a lot of times it's hard here. It's a
Yeah.
hard place to be. And so having that change between the realities can cause a little bit of frustration if you are enjoying where you are, right? If you enjoy the experience that you had, and then you're like, well, I don't want it to be over yet, right?
Yeah, no, that actually makes so
So
much sense.
that,
Because one of the scenarios in that one, I got to hang out with my grandpa, and he passed when I was, like, 6, so I don't actually have memories of him, and so I remember when she's like, "Okay, it's time to leave," and I was like, "No."
oh,
So
ah,
yeah.
yeah, you
Yep.
weren't quite ready because you needed maybe a little bit more time just to get that either that closure or really just have that connection. But also, just as a side note, even though you were there experiencing your grandfather and you were loving and having a wonderful time with him, he's with you all the time.
oh,
There's
this dude definitely is,
never
yeah.
right? And so even though I know you felt that anger, but it's so nice to know just be like, okay, well, he's coming with me now, right? That was just a beautiful connection. So
Yeah, yeah,
anyway, but
that's true, yeah.
I love that. And
Mhm.
thank you for sharing your experience too.
Yeah, no, thank you for your insights on that, 'cause I it makes sense, the kinda disconnect and the coming back, but yeah.
Hmm.
The thing that just keeps popping in my mind is how eloquent Brittany is. You can tell she is a rising Gemini.
Oh,
I always find you guys can speak so well and so fluid, and it's just so
oh,
beautiful. You just need to know that.
Yes,
you're
yes.
so kind. I
Oh,
appreciate
all
your
right. So, will you explain to us what the little goodie that you're giving all of us, both Rebecca and I, and all of our viewers?
Yes. So this is what I teach in my sessions, my one-on-one sessions, and I love this little guided journey. It's just a visualization. We'll do a quick little grounding exercise and then a nice little you don't have to necessarily visualize if that's not something that's like your strong suit. You can kind of
Sure.
just listen and just flow with my voice. You don't have to have the pictures in your head. A lot of people feel pressure from that. And we're just going to go through a couple of different steps through this, and it's going to be kind of the compact version, but it will still allow you to connect with your guides and get some kind of symbol that you can then take away and know when these guides are with you.
Beautiful. Love it. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
just going to tell all of our viewers, if you're driving or something, maybe you just want to pause this and come back and do this experience over and over again. We'll have time stamps also for you so you can come right back to it. Yay, we're excited.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So we'll start with the grounding exercise. And so you can close your eyes if you are in a place to do so. And what I really want you to do is imagine like a beautiful white light that's maybe even a little bit glittery coming from the top of your head. And it comes down through into your throat and into your shoulders and down through your arms and out through your hands. And then comes down into your chest and into your heart. And then down into your abdomen and into your hips and your thighs, down into your calves and your shins, and into your feet. And then this white light kind of sparkles and then connects down into the core of the earth. And now what I would like you to do is I'd like you to place your hands, one stacked on top of each other, over your heart space. You can either physically hold your heart space or you can hold it out maybe an inch or so. And I just want you to sit for just a second. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Going to inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. And inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. One last time. In through your nose and out through your mouth. So now I just want you to imagine yourself walking down a beautiful pathway. And this pathway can be whatever you find lovely. It will be peaceful and joyful. And you can skip or you can walk, you can run, whatever makes you feel happy and safe and good. And as you're walking or skipping, you come to the end of this path. And at the end of this path, there is a beautiful opening. And there is a space here where you feel so much love and peace and support. And when you get here, I just want you to stay for a moment and just look around. Enjoy the peace for just a moment. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to invite in the guides that need to come, that are wanting to come forward to give you any kind of guidance or love or support or a symbol of some kind. So we're going to allow them to come in. And everyone has a little bit of a different experience here. So whatever you are experiencing is just fine. And this is where we need to pay attention to details because they work very subtly. They do not want to alarm you. So they will come in very gently and they will be very, very supportive. And all you have to say is, please come in now. And you can say this in your head. Just say, please come in now. I would love to meet you. And here, this would be perfect time to just kind of pay attention to any kind of feelings you're getting in your body or any experiences you're having, whether maybe you're hearing something or you can feel something or you're just allowing them to be there with you, even if you just have a knowing they're there, even if you can't see or feel anything. And you may be seeing colors. Colors are absolutely valid. And now we're going to ask the question, can you please show me a symbol that you are with me? So that way when you move forward, you can still know that they're there guiding you and protecting you. And just take whatever comes to you.
Mm.
So now we're going to take a minute and you can repeat this process as many times as you like. This is a very simple way to connect in, and you may hold this space forever or for as long as you like. You you can stay here for as little time as you want, whatever is necessary for you to feel this connection and to bring them in. And so now we're going to gently say goodbye. And we're just going to come back down. And we're going to do just a nice, gentle grounding, similar to what we did in the beginning, to just bring us back into our bodies. So we're going to have the white, glittery light come down through our head, down through our throat, into our chest, and down through our arms, and then down into our abdomen, and into our hips, and our thighs, and down into our legs, our calves, and our shins, and out through our feet. And we're going to connect back into the core of the earth once again. And you can take a moment here, and whenever you're ready, you can put your arms down and you can slowly open your eyes. So,
You are gifted, my friend.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So,
a
do
little
we
bit.
want to chat about, did you guys feel anything or want to share anything that you both experienced?
Yeah, you
Or
go
if,
first, Michelle,
Okay,
if you
so
want.
sure, I'll go first. So I saw my path. I walked down. It took me to a beachy area,
ooh, love that.
and then I had a vision of a Hawaiian native.
Mm,
And then I was reconnected with a spirit guide I used to work with. It was a dolphin. I have not seen this thing in a while. And then I saw more of a I couldn't decipher if it was an ant or a um what are the long sticky,
Like praying
praying
mantis?
mantis?
yeah, I think it was a praying mantis. And it felt like, and I don't know if it's Mew or Lemuria that were over in the Hawaiian Islands, but I know there's some ancient energy.
Lemuria. Mhm.
Lemuria. Okay, well, that's interesting. Just from what we discussed yesterday, which I I've
Right?
never really spent any time on, and then to have that happen,
Mhm.
that was pretty interesting. So I had a session yesterday with Brittany, which was fantastic. I'm a connoisseur of this stuff, so truly, she's gifted, as you can tell. But it was interesting because then I thought, your mind wants to come in and said it's just because she said that yesterday. But I thought, no, there's no way. I was down a pathway, and all three of those do not necessarily make that, but that's what it felt like for me. So then a sand dollar appeared and said, this is your sign for us, for this energy, the three of us, and much, much more when you're connecting in. I loved it, and it felt so at home. Oh, and I'm just having an insight. I
Huh.
also had a astrocartography. I do that, but I wanted somebody to read
Oh.
mine. And it was interesting because they pointed me to Hawaii. And I said, no, I know what goes through my Hawaii stuff. And she said, nope, you would really feel at home there. And I said, well, who wouldn't? But obviously, so I think that's really interesting that I've
Yeah.
had two hits on that area. So yeah, I can't wait to go back. That was
Oh,
amazing. Thank you.
Um,
you're welcome.
okay, so what I'm hearing is future abstract curiosity weekend retreat in Hawaii.
Yes, yes. Brittany, you'll have to
Yes.
come.
Oh, I'm so in.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I
Yes.
goodness.
love
All
it.
right. What was it like for you, Miss Rebecca?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I went down the path, and then my open space is like this field. It's like this bright green with like little bitty yellow flowers just kind of blowing in the breeze. Just open field. And then when people came in, it was immediately my grandma and grandpa, the one like I mentioned before, like they're both my mom's parents, and they were farmers in Wyoming, and they popped in as this like one picture, that old painting of the farmer and his wife, and they're like all serious, and he has the pitchfork. So they recreated that because my grandpa would always wear the overalls, and I called them grandpa pants when I was little. But my grandma, we called her Grandma Glitter. She was very eccentric. And so they recreated it like back in the day. And she had on all her like fancy garb and stuff. And so they popped in like that picture, and I just started cracking up. It's like, oh my gosh, y'all are hilarious. And it was just making me laugh so much.
Oh my God.
And so it just felt good because they were just standing there like that. And then, I had earlier today, I had a reminder of my guide named Brian, and, like, he popped in and turned into a bumblebee. And
Mm.
then my other grandma, I really feel her energy with the hummingbird, and so I felt like the hummingbird came in, and then a big jaguar just came and hung out on the side. Um So they were all just kinda hanging out, and then the symbol was kind of a mix of everything. Like, the hummingbird has been a symbol for me for a while, but it just basically felt like hummingbird, bumblebee, black cat energy, like,
Mhm.
any of those. Or also, oh gosh, I forgot about this till just now. Um, the pitchfork, like, they combined it, and they're like, "Or a glittery pitchfork."
Oh my gosh. I love your grandmother so much.
She
Grandma
is
Glitter. I want
hilarious.
that name. That's my name. Grandma
That's
Glitter.
that's gonna be my name too. I've already told the boys, they're teenagers. I'm like,
That's a
but
hootenanny.
yes. So we can both be Grandma Glitter because her name was Gladys. And so like I have this vague memory of being a kid, and she was telling me Gladys, but I heard glitter. And then all the other grandkids started calling her Grandma Glitter. So I'll have to see if my mom can find that picture, and I'll send it to y'all. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I love the sense of humor. That makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
I was like, where am I gonna find a glittery pitchfork? But they're like, that's the point. It's gonna be fun when you see it.
Glittery pitchfork. Oh my gosh, I love that.
So that
Oh,
was really fun.
good, good. That's amazing.
And did you get anything, Brittany? Were you sensing or feeling, or are you so in tune with holding the light? that that's what was going on for you? Like, what was your experience?
I was just hanging out. I was just sitting there. I mean, the only thing that I noticed was a little bit different than ever before. It was like my eyelids would flutter a lot. So I usually hold, like, I keep my eyes closed too. And so I try to do that with you, and I like walk the path and all of those things. And then once everything started coming, I'm like, my eyelids like started like fluttering super fast. I was like, this is interesting. Never had that one happen before. But no, I didn't necessarily experience anything. They just, my guides just come in, they just hold me, they hold my shoulders, and they're like, nope, good.
Love it.
So yeah, it was easy. It was fun.
So what do you recommend then for people who go through this experience and now they've connected up?
Mhm.
What else would you tell them afterwards then? What do we do with this information?
So the best thing you can do is right after, I would journal about or write it down or somehow record it, so that you can kind of go back and be like, oh yeah, I did have this experience. And it's good to record not just the things that you saw or experienced, but like your emotions, in as much detail as you can, the things that you saw, the things you experienced, and like what, even the little, like the beautiful place you went to. So that way, if you choose to do this, over and over again, um, you will have that. It creates like the repetition and that ceremony just to allow it. So it makes it easier for you to remember what it was like to connect, and then how to have that connection again. Um, I would definitely say important note when connecting with your guides, depending on, some people have very, very deep experiences with them. Some of them experience healing, some people experience all kinds of stuff. So it's good to ground and drink a lot of water. So it doesn't have to be complicated grounding. You can go stand outside for a few minutes. The sun actually is a super huge help in this situation. So if you have access to the sun afterwards, that helps. But just being outside for a few minutes, and or doing your own grounding practices, you could take a shower. Those types of things really help ground and integrate the energy of what you experienced, so it's not so overwhelming. And yeah, so it just really helps bring those things in for you. So
That
those
was
would be my
fabulous.
tips to just kind of help you re-experience. And also, fun note is that you should not ever feel like you have to have the exact same experience with your guides. So if you have a specific experience, it doesn't mean that you're not having an experience with your guides or you're not connected to them. They may show up a little differently each time, depending on where you're at and what you need, right? They're very attuned to what you're good with, what you're comfortable with, and what is in your best interest. And so they come in to support you, and that support is there. And sometimes it comes in different ways. Sometimes they may not be so verbal. Maybe they won't give you guidance. Maybe they're like, you know what? Today you just need someone to sit with you. And so those are the types of things that I want to also just remember, that it may not be the exact same experience, but don't doubt the experiences.
Okay. Wow. That was powerful.
Yeah.
And such a great tool for everybody to come on and use. Like, thank you so much for that. How
Oh, yeah.
can people find you? Because people need to find you. How can they find you and work with you?
Oh, so I am on Instagram and TikTok. My username is britneysmith.co. I also have a YouTube. It's the same username, britneysmith.co.
Okay.
And
And our Brittany is with
I,
one T, by the way,
yeah, and
not two.
then my website is also available, which is just britneysmith.org, and it's BRITNEY and then smith.org. So yeah,
We'll have
lots of
links.
fun ways. And yeah, so
So intuitive development and or channeling.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't think this is the last time we're going to have you on.
No. Well,
We need to
yeah,
have more conversations.
Yeah, we need to
Yes.
have more conversation because there's a million different directions that I would personally, and I think Rebeka would really like to talk to you about. And I would love to just talk about my experience with you at some point in time, and then maybe Rebeka too. So I think that would be absolutely awesome. So
sounds
thanks so
great.
much for coming on. Is there anything else that you want everybody to know? Any last parting words at all for yourself?
No, just I really appreciate being able to come on here and share this and kind of like what we were talking about before. It is a lot easier to kind of show people how this could work and what the experience is like because I think that takes away a little bit of the uneasiness sometimes. And it just really I don't know. I think that sometimes, action speaks louder than words sometimes. And so if you can show someone, so I really appreciate being able to, just come on and show people what it can be like and how much, love and support they really do have. Cause that is something I know a lot of people maybe feel like they don't have. Cause I know I felt that way for a really long time that I was just alone and not really supported or cared for. And I didn't have any kind of support. And now, having this wonderful relationship that I have built with, my own guides and working with other people, it's just really changed so much and created a deeper connection that I could have ever have, dreamed of. So
Mm,
That's so
yay.
beautiful.
It is so beautiful. Once again, thank you for coming on. Go check her out. She's very impactful. If you're ready to make some changes in your life and you're wanting to make that deep connection, please reach out to her. And once again, thanks so much for being on the podcast, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Love y'all.